News tonight on Donald Trump's search for a hardliner to run immigration policy, and this may dredge up nightmarish memories for Trump. It involves one of the things that he detests most, rejection and criticism, and this from his own adopted party. Now, for the full context, it helps to remember Donald Trump's rocky path to the Republican nomination, when party leaders blasted him as a fraud and fake conservative. Now, the leader in this effort was Senator Ted Cruz, who came at Trump from the right.
But you mess with my wife, you mess with my kids, that'll do it every time. Donald, you're a sniveling coward, and leave Heidi the hell alone. This man is a pathological liar. He lies practically every word that comes out of his mouth. A narcissist at a level I don't think this country's ever seen.
Cruz fought Trump all the way to the convention, debating the rules, poaching delegates for Stop Trump, this effort that was all planned to stage some sort of humiliating floor vote there. Now, to lead this bare-knuckled campaign, Cruz tapped this guy, Ken Cuccinelli, a former attorney general, pugnacious enough to take on that long-shot assignment, challenging his own party's planned nominee and RNC leaders and GOP congressional leaders, basically his whole party, all to stop Trump and try to make Ted Cruz the nominee. Now, bucking Republican leaders may sound like a kamikaze mission for a Republican official and candidate who might want to run again, but this is sort of Cuccinelli's thing. He was out there attacking John Boehner, calling him hostile and saying he betrayed the Republican Party. And during the RNC, he launched this attack on Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell doesn't represent Republicans. He's the least favorably considered senator in America among Republican senators. I mean, he is loathed by the Republican grassroots. Loathed.
Okay. Cuccinelli blasting the most powerful Republican in office, and his turn against Trump was widely seen as a real effort at the time, reporters covering him as the leader of the floor fight for a last-ditch effort to derail Trump's nomination. It involved backroom negotiating at the convention, theatrics, and even some kvetching about how the party rules were unfair.
He violated the rules in the run-up to the convention. It's geeky stuff, right? But they didn't give the committee members the contact info of each other, which the rules call for. Look at one of the amendments. It's petty.
Cuccinelli also stressed this was about more than rules, insisting, while the convention approached, this was a key moment, that Trump was not even a conservative. Now, this may be like reliving a recurring nightmare for Donald Trump. And this formulation by Cuccinelli is kind of a recurring claim, because he likes to say he's the only conservative, not Trump, not McConnell. And that comes up again in a moment. Now, at the convention, you know Cuccinelli did not prevail because, well, Ted Cruz is not president. But you remember how it went down? It started with the kind of prop work that only a lawyer-turned candidate could love, credential games that were too much for even Donald Trump Jr.
The same group of 4 people running around. They wait for a camera to show up, and then they take their credentials and try to dramatically throw them on the floor. They look like idiots.
You're talking about Ken Cuccinelli. You're calling him an idiot?
I'm saying these people look like idiots when they're doing that.
After that loss, Cruz marched out and he told the delegates to vote their conscience. Trump then stormed the convention floor. And Cruz would ultimately contradict himself later because he took that risk on stage, but then buckled to Trump. Now, how about his hand-picked leader of the Stop Trump convention revolt? Where is he now? Any guesses? Is he backing another Republican primary challenger to Trump, maybe Governor Weld? Is he working in Washington to advocate the true conservatism that he said Trump lacked? Or is he vying for a job working for Trump? Yes, Cuccinelli is now set to be Trump's nominee to run the immigration system. Washington Post reporting Trump's plan to tap Cuccinelli extends the purge of leadership at DHS. And this is where we're at. Donald Trump purged his own appointees because they weren't conservative enough on immigration. He's planning to replace them with someone who said Trump is not conservative enough. Now, maybe the president figures handing the keys on immigration to a former Trump critic sends a message. Maybe next, Ann Coulter will run ICE. As for Cuccinelli, he's explained his Trump conversion with pragmatism.
Look, are we going to be happy with everything that happens in a Donald Trump presidency? No. But are we going to be unhappy with everything that happens in a Hillary presidency? Oh, yes.
This isn't just a story of Donald and Ken. Because even if they evolve towards each other, what about all those Republican leaders in Congress who clashed with Cuccinelli? After all, he's pen pals with Mitch McConnell. He wrote the majority leader an open letter calling for his resignation, citing his failure of leadership, saying you are the swamp, you don't even show up for work, and America's too good for you to lead it. So how is Trump's plan to appoint Cuccinelli playing on the Hill tonight? Well, Politico reports Republicans ready to quash him. They say this looming fight is the climax of those Republicans' years-long battle with Cuccinelli and his organization, which tries to oust GOP incumbents. Now, politically, this puts McConnell and his team in a tough spot. Do they oppose both Trump and a self-described conservative on this immigration issue? Obviously, they don't want to be seen doing this over personal beef and putting their political squabble, which you wouldn't even know about unless you're kind of a Senate politics junkie, putting that above the nation's immigration policy. So do they have some other reason to explain opposing their pen pal nemesis, Cuccinelli? No. In this Politico piece that's out about all this, Senate Republicans say, yeah, it's all personal. This is about what Cuccinelli said about them. So I just want to pause on this. This is 2019 for you. Politicians don't even pretend they're making these decisions on the merits. Immigration policy is important, but not as important as what you said about me, they might argue, or as important as you backing a different Republican in the past election. I don't want to be too high-minded, but I do want to say this to you tonight. This is supposed to be a democracy. It's not going to work well if the punishment for opposing someone in an election is never allowing them into public service. So there may be logical objections to Ken Cuccinelli. There may be many of them. That's just not one of them. Now, McConnell controls the Senate floor. He could deny anyone a vote. Just ask Merrick Garland, which McConnell recently celebrated, complete with the double standard.
Let me tell you this. If I'm still the majority leader of the Senate, think of me as the Grim Reaper. None of that stuff is going to pass. None of it.
So Republicans might marinate in this as another bare-knuckled arena to flex their power. But on this one, McConnell may actually fail because the White House is prepping to do an end run around him and install Cuccinelli in an acting role, avoiding the fight with the Senate GOP. Congressional Republicans have already ceded a lot of power to Trump. They surrendered oversight or funding powers that might restrict this reliance on the acting secretaries. In fact, I want you to know right now there are temporary acting leaders in posts at the Pentagon, Homeland Security, Budget, even Trump's own White House Chief of Staff, and dozens more in senior acting roles across the government, about just over a dozen more. So maybe Senate Republicans don't care about any of this until it hits home, and they want to keep Ken Cuccinelli out of government because he was mean to them. Maybe only in this petty Washington game do people realize that ceding these unitary powers to the president, any president, won't work well in the long run. And now McConnell may be hoisted on his own proverbial political petty petard, procedurally bludgeoned by Trump's tactic. And Trump can use these powers to help McConnell's nemesis while he just has to look on. Now, I could leave it all there, and people who dislike some of those folks might enjoy that, but I have to tell you one more thing, apart from the politics. The man who would assume these acting powers in this end run around the Senate is not exactly known for being restrained or conservative about federal power. Mr. Cuccinelli has advocated deploying war powers for domestic and border activities like patrolling migration. And it was that war footing he invoked before Trump was ever in office, accusing Obama of an invasion of immigrants. He backed something that could literally be unconstitutional, trying to end the American tradition that people who are born here are citizens. And he once compared immigration policy to pest control. This is the person that Senate Republicans oppose for other reasons. And this is the person who, if you haven't heard about it, because there's a lot going on, this is the person who Donald Trump wants to put in charge of our entire immigration system. If that took a long time to go through, it's because it matters, and we need to know the history to know where we're going. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.